Hi, I'm Erin with Best Life Physical Therapy, and I've been getting the question lately, well, how do I know this is mind-body syndrome? How do I know that these symptoms are coming from my brain? And I just wanted to offer a couple of resources, one of which is this book called Unlearn Your Pain by Howard Schubiner. I'm actually going to bring out some concepts out of his book right now. They have created a acronym for one of the ways that we know whether or not your symptoms are actually mind-body symptoms. And that acronym is FIT. And what that means is either the symptoms are functional, inconsistent, or triggered. So before we even talk about what FIT would mean for you, let's just talk about some of the common conditions that are actually mind-body symptoms. Now, if you have any of these symptoms and you haven't been checked out by a doctor to see, make sure that there's nothing broken, that you don't have a tumor or an infection, and then you definitely should go that route first. Just get it checked out, make sure that these symptoms are not coming from any of those causes. But if you've been checked out, you've had tests done, you've had MRIs, you've had blood tests, and they all come back negative, and you're starting to think, well, what's wrong with me? I'm hurting, and I'm in pain, then it may be mind-body syndrome. So some common mind-body symptoms are tension and migraine headaches, irritable bowel syndrome and chronic abdominal pain, neck and back pain, fibromyalgia, osteoarthritis, pelvic pain syndromes, like all of them, just fill in the blanks, heartburn or GERD. So if you have something, reflex type symptoms a lot of the time, tinnitus, ringing in the ears, it can be mind-body. If you've had all the tests and nothing's coming back positive, then it could be mind-body. So I'm going to show you how to do a couple tests and see if you fall into any of the categories here. Dizziness and vertigo can also be mind-body. POTS, postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome, muscle tics and spasms, they can be mind-body. Non-epileptic seizures, acute loss of your voice or change in your voice pattern, brain fog or intention can be mind-body. Tingling and numbness sensations, temporary, the TMJ dysfunction, urinary frequency or even interstitial cystitis, palpitations of your heart, facial pain and trigeminal neuralgia, complex regional pain syndrome, eating disorders, anxiety or OCD, and depression, and even post-COVID syndrome, long haul COVID has been shown. They've actually found some research that shows that some of the people who had long hauler COVID never even had COVID. So it was the fear of getting COVID that caused them to create these problems. The mind body. And I don't want to take anything away from you. Your pain is real. The things that you're going with are very real. It's just not created in the body part. It's actually created in the brain, and there is hope. Okay, so let's see if FIT fits your symptoms at all. So FIT, remember, functional, inconsistent, or triggered. So when we say functional, that would mean that symptoms begin without a physical precipitation. So there's no injury, you just wake up one day and you have the symptoms. And it might have been correlated with a stressful moment in your life during a time of stress. Or symptoms persist after an injury has healed. Symptoms are in a distribution pattern that's symmetric. Like for me, both of my thumbs hurt. Like why would if it was something, an injury or overuse or something with one, why does the other one hurt also? Symptoms are in a distribution pattern symmetric. Okay, symptoms occur on one whole side of the body. Oftentimes I'll have patients that say my whole right side hurts, or like half of the face hurts, or the symptoms are spread from one part of the body to another. If that's you, like they were here and now they're here, or they were here and now they're here and now they're here and now they're here, going down my whole leg or whatever. Symptoms radiate to the opposite side of the body or down a whole leg or the arm, and or they could occur in many different parts of the body. And also, which people get really worried about this symptom, which is tingling, electric, burning, or numb, or hot or cold. And those are common. And mostly, this is, when there's no evidence of nerve damage. So you might have had an EMG test, but the EMG comes back normal, but you still have the numbness or tingling. And that would be consistent with mind-body syndrome. Okay, so let's go into the I of the FIT acronym, and that's inconsistent. So symptoms may shift from one location of the body to the other within hours or days or weeks. That's inconsistent with actual tissue damage. Or they might vary depending on the time of the day. Like, I'm better in the morning, but as the day goes on, it's worse. Or they occur first thing in the morning and then they go away. And they said sometimes this is due to subconscious brain activity. So if symptoms occur after but not during an activity or an exercise, because a structural injury will hurt when it's being used and it's better when it's rested. So that's not consistent with actual tissue damage. Symptoms occur when one thinks about them or someone asks them about it. Symptoms occur when stress is increased. This is a common one I get a lot of the time. Or if you think about a stressful situation, the pain gets worse, then that's a sign that it's mind-body syndrome. Symptoms are minimal or non-existent when engaged in joyful or distracting activities. So if something makes you happy and you do it and you feel great, then that's actually not structural. That's causing the pain. And then also, it can be inconsistent with if symptoms are minimal or non-existent after some kind of therapy, such as coming to physical therapy, or chiropractic, or Reiki, or acupuncture, or taking a supplement. Anything that calms the danger signal will tend to decrease symptoms. So a lot of times people will come into our office and feel very safe and they'll feel better for a while, but then that pain will come back. And what I'm finding is that when we give the brain messages of safety and security, then the pain goes away and it doesn't come back. So if that's you, I want to just encourage you to continue learning about some of these things with some of the resources I have or ones I've shared with you. Okay, the last T, the last acronym in this FIT acronym is T, and that is symptoms that are triggered. So symptoms are triggered by things that are not related to the actual symptoms, such as foods, smells, light, computer screens, having your period, changes in weather. If any of those are true for you, then you could have mind-body syndrome. If symptoms are triggered by the anticipation of stress, or right before going to work, or right before going to school, or a big meeting, or a doctor's appointment, or a medical test, or visiting a relative, or a social gathering, or during those activities, then that is most likely mind-body syndrome. Sometimes you can trigger your pain by imagining the activity that would tend to increase your symptoms. So I'd like you to do a little test right now. You've been listening to me talk about all these different signs that you could possibly have mind-body syndrome. But right now, I'd like you to imagine an activity such as turning your neck. So if you have neck pain, we'll do a little test and turn your head right to left. And if you have pain going, say, left is a little bit painful for me today, then I want you to just imagine. So your head's straight on, but you're imagining that you're turning left. And I want you to tell me what happens to the pain in your neck when you imagine that you're turning left. And when you imagine turning left, if the pain increases, then what you have is mind-body symptoms, mind-body syndrome. And there is hope for you, okay? So for me, it was neck turning left, but for some people it may be bending over or sitting in a chair or standing. So choose your provocative activity and then try that imagining exercise and see if the pain does increase with imagining it, then we know for certain, that's a pretty good test, that that is actually one of the things that's triggering your pain is the fear of that motion. So I want to just share with you right now, if you did turn your head to the left and it hurt, then I want you to do a technique. Okay, so turning your head to the left, just imagining it hurt. So right now I'd like you to go ahead and just give some messages of safety to that motion. And just tell, because we know it's mind-body syndrome now, because it did increase it. So now I want you to do something about it. So what you're gonna do is just give some messages of safety to that, left side of your neck, for example. Okay, so breathe in nice and slow. And let it go. And just give a message of safety, like, I am healthy. I am strong. I am safe. Let's try that again. And you can say it out loud with me. Put your hand on your heart. I am healthy. I am strong. I am safe. Very good. And now go ahead and try that motion again. Just go a little bit and just see how that feels. And if it feels better, then you know, yes, indeed, this is mind-body syndrome that we have. And there are a lot of tools that we can use to rewire your brain to continue to have messages of safety. So if you come to your physical therapy appointment and you feel good, but within a week or later, you're back to being tight again, we just need to add this component to your treatment so that we can rewire your brain so your brain can feel safe, and it doesn't need to give you messages all the time that you're dealing with something that your brain doesn't think you can handle it, but you need to sometimes give it a message that, yes, I can. All right, so I'm gonna share one other thing that could be a sign that it is coming from the mind-body syndrome is if you just touch yourself very lightly and that irritates your symptoms, then that is a sign that it's mind-body symptom, because mind-body symptom, people with mind-body symptoms or syndrome are often very overly sensitive to touch, but light touch isn't actually going to be able to bring any kind of damage to the underlying structures. So if you have a tenderness with light touch, then that is another symptom of mind-body syndrome. So I hope these, the FIT acronym has kind of helped you to kind of start to wrap your mind around the fact that maybe there isn't a structural problem and I am not damaged, and that maybe some of these messages from the brain are causing my brain to have these feelings of pain when in fact it's really just a brain kind of wiring issue. So I hope that this is helpful to you to kind of try to start to understand and move forward in this process, because there are a lot of people going from completely disabled and painful all the time to going pain-free within just a couple of months. So I really would love to walk this journey with you and kind of hold your hand along the way. But the first part is acknowledging that it is coming from your brain.